Hello Internet, this is Scott with Scott's Garage, and today I'm working on my youngest son's 2005 Ford Focus SE ZX5. Now the presenting problem is this. We purchased the car, it had very few miles, 33,000 miles. A very elderly gentleman owned it, and the air though doesn't work, air conditioning. And the previous owner spent about $1,000 to get it fixed. They put a new compressor in, it worked for a week maybe, and then stopped working. It just simply doesn't blow cold. So what I did is I put a tracer die in and recharged the system, and likewise it worked great for a few days, but no longer blows cold. So there's a freon leak somewhere. I've tested all the logical places for freon leak using the black light and all the typical places that are the easiest ones to fix. I don't see any tracer dye whatsoever. However, I did put this light underneath the dash, and sure enough, things start to light up down there, different dots of the tracer, and therefore it leads me to highly suspect that it's the evaporative core. And so here's a replacement evaporator core. And this is a really hard fix. I dread this actually, but to have this done, to take it in, would be at least $1,200. The core itself only costs $30. But really, if it is that for sure, the entire dash has to come out to get to the heater core, evaporative core within the car to replace it. Now I want to make sure, so what I'm going to do first of all is take off the center console here. Then I'll be taking off the cowling around here and getting in there and just being able to have a closer look. To take the center console off is relatively easy. Just three screws, I believe. So you take the cup holders out. Might as well wash those up, let them soak or something. But just two Phillips screws, one there in the front, and then in the back here, you can see that there's one right down here. Now, normally these have plastic caps on them, and just take a pick and take that plastic cap off. But take these three screws out. One of the things I highly recommend are these magnetic trays. Just great. I have so many projects that can get confusing, and they're magnetic, so they can be upside down, still going to hold parts for a given project. So you can get them at Harbor Freight Tools. Sometimes they're free, otherwise they're just a few dollars. You also have to take this storage compartment off, and so to do that you have to remove this little panel here, and it comes off. I used a pick initially to get that off. So two more screws right here. And then this storage unit just comes right off. Now I should be able to take the console out. Okay, now in order to pull this up correctly, it's all loose and everything, but I need to start the car, put the shift lever somewhere in the center so I can pull it out better, and also the emergency brake is already on, so the car will not roll. As far as the boot for the emergency brake, you can loosen it down here if you want, or you can just leave it on there. Basically, the whole unit will pull up with the boot over this handle. Okay, with a little bit of maneuvering, I was able to get this console off. And it comes right out. Okay, next we need to remove this cowling right here. There are 4 screws. 2 of them are standard Phillips heads, one here and one on the other side. And then up here, right there, it's actually a torque screw, and it is a T20. Okay, with the screws removed, there's just some clips up here, so you just you just pull back. You can see one of them there. And just careful whenever you work with plastic. You don't want to force anything. If you force it, you're going to break something. But don't force it, and it is your friend. Okay, once I removed the center console, I just carefully pulled back on the plastic tubing for the rear air, and just got it out of the way. What I'm going to do now is take some screws out here and see if I can't just somehow lower this down a little bit to just get a better look inside and see if I see any tracer. Just a note here, I did get in there, took some things apart, got the black light, looked in there. Really couldn't see anything more than I saw before. Just some dots of tracer are evident, so I'm going to go ahead and go through with the project. Next, we're going to remove the battery. To do this, you need a 10 millimeter. Once we remove both leads from the battery, we are going to turn the headlights on. It'll drain any residual power from the car. Next, remove the glove box. To do that, there are 3 bolts down here, and this is a 7 millimeter. Once you take the bolts out, you just have to push on each side and the glove box comes right out. Remove the steering column trim, and there are four bolts, and this is an 8 millimeter. So 1, 2, and then down here 3 and 4. Remove the electrical, and this is where you plug in to get the computer readings. Just pull back the tab here and it pulls right out. This is the hood latch release, and to remove that, just loosen this nut. It's a 19 millimeter. Now we need to remove the steering column cover, and it's real simple. There's some tabs right here, either a flathead screwdriver or this pick works really well. Just push in and it releases. Do the same with this side, and it just lifts right off. Next, remove the lower part of the steering column, and this is a torque screw, and I think this is a T25. And there are 4 of them. 1, 2, actually 3. There are 3. Once the 3 torque screws are out, you just jostle around a little bit, get it over the ignition switch, and it comes right out. So a note on the wiring as I took it off, there was nothing at all connected to this, and likewise nothing at all connected to that. Next, we need to remove the airbag. To do this, turn the steering wheel so that it's 90 degrees from horizontal this way, and there is a bolt here and a bolt here on the back side, and these bolts are 5.5 millimeter, and by turning the steering wheel this way, you have access then from the back side on the top and on the bottom. Again, just remove those 2 bolts. Okay, once you remove the bolts, the 5.5 millimeter bolts on each side of the airbag, you simply pull back on this side, and it loosens up the airbag. Now be very careful as you just disconnect the electronics, and you just push the pin here and pull. Next, you want to straighten the steering wheel, because you're going to be pulling the steering wheel off, and just get it as straight as you can. You know, with no engine on and stuff, it's a little bit hard, but just try to get it as straight on as you can. That's very important, so when you put it back on, your steering wheel doesn't look lopsided. Next, you want to remove this bolt, and it's a 22 millimeter, and that also corresponds coincidentally to a 15/16 standard. This bolt, not bad at all. Had to torque it a little bit, but then the bolt comes right out. Okay, I loosened up with both hands. Now I have the camera back in one hand, and the steering wheel just comes right off. Voila. Next, you need to remove the trim to the instrument panel, and as far as I could tell, there's just one bolt here, and you just very carefully just work your way around and pull back on it, and it comes loose. So it looks like, believe it or not, that's just held on with one bolt. And then remove the electrical, and that's actually the release for the trunk. Now the trunk release wiring clip is a little bit tricky, but you just push in right there. I used a pick to do so, and then it goes right. Close look at this. Yeah, there's just one little screw that holds this on, and the rest are clips. Next, remove the instrument cluster, and there are 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are 7 millimeters. Okay, the electrical for the instrument cluster, the key is this little snap here. It just swivels down, and you just sorry about that, I'm trying to film with one hand here. Just swing it down and it releases the clip. Okay, to remove the electrical for the headlight switch, one of 2 ways. You could reach behind and you could pinch this tab and just pull them out. I thought it'd be easier though just to take 3 little screws out. I can easily get to this. So I'll disconnect it, and then I'm going to put this right back in and put the screws back in place. Next, you want to remove the directional switch and also the windshield wiper switch from the steering column. This is really easy to do. You just there's a tab right there, and just pull back, and they come right up. And then push this little tab here and remove the electrical. Same here. Just push this little tab. They come right up. Very easy. Next, you want to remove the directional switch and also the windshield wiper switch from the steering column. This is really easy to do. You just there's a tab right there, and just pull back, and they come right up. And then push this little tab here and remove the electrical. Same here. Just push this little tab. They come right up. Very easy. Don't forget to remove the latch for the glove box, just 2 little bolts.